Hello, everyone. Welcome to BodyBags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Tats, and yeah, I'm pretty sure if you've been following, what we're doing this week, we're reviewing movies from the franchise of Paranormal Activity. And hey, just real quick, uh, take a look. Okay, you're probably looking at the only guy out of everybody on Body Bags. You're probably looking about the only guy that actually bought the new Paranormal Activity box set. I'm not kidding. I think I'm the only one that actually did. But and honestly, if you're a fan of the set, I'll tell you right now, it's a good set. I highly recommend picking it up. It's really nice. It's like so. Today I'm going to be reviewing Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension in 3D. But yeah, real quick, yeah, the set is really nice, and I don't regret buying it. If you're a fan, I would definitely say pick it up if you want to. I'm not going to go in depth on it just real quick. I mean, see, look how nice that is, and everything, and you got the two Blu-rays and stuff. And, yeah, but if you want me, if you want to know more about it, go more in depth. See, you even got reversible cover art. So if you want to go get more in depth about it, go over to my channel, Terror and Tats, and check it out. I did a video where I, did a review on the box set and everything else. So yeah, in case if you're interested, head over and check that out. It's a good video, I promise. Okay, enough shameless self-promotion. Let's get to it. All right, so yeah, we've been talking about the Paranormal Activity movies, and so I got the Ghost Dimension, which I'm fine with. I'm going to be honest with you guys, okay? Just, I got to tell you something. I was like, these were movies, the Paranormal Activity series, these were movies, when they first came out, I don't think I really appreciated them as much as I do now. And it wasn't until I got the box set when I started watching them again, and I started realizing, like, honestly, like, I like these movies. I'm a fan of these movies. These are movies, like, I have to admit, like, at first I didn't care for them. But it's just like, once I got the box set and, I was like getting prepared for this, I sat down, I binge watched all the movies, kind of in preparation for this, and started realizing, like, what? It's like, I actually reassessed this, and, it's like, I actually like these movies a lot more than I used to. And, I think a lot of that is just because I know a lot of people are gonna be like, dude, they're just kind of B grade cheese, silly, corny ghost movies and stuff like that. And I think that's part of it. I think that's part of a big reason why. It's like, it's the one thing, first and foremost, it's not political. There's no politics in this or anything like that. It's just, that's just it. It's just grade B ghost story fun. And that's the way I take it, and I know these movies aren't, they're not Pulitzer Prize winning films or any of that kind of stuff. I know that, but just like, my God, like I was watching, something for preparation for another review I'm getting ready to do here soon. And just, like, just like I was looking at stuff on Netflix here a while back. I was like, looking at, you know, uh, that new Jordan Peele movie, that Wendell and Wild, and it's like, going into that, it's like, okay, it's got Key and Peele in it, and hopefully it's just going to be a fun, holiday, Halloween holiday family movie and all this stuff. Then it's pretty much like a 2 hour lecture about prisons, and prisons are a bad thing, and does prison reform really work, and all this kind of stuff. So that's like, okay, well, I'll go to Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities in the first episode. Here's a guy who's talking about, like, listen to the radio, it's like, the Mexicans are coming in, taking over all the jobs, and yeah, you damn right, and all that. It's like, oh, my head hurts. And it's just, when I started binge watching these again, it's like, I just kind of realized, what? These are goofy and silly, but you know what? I'm here for it. Just, there's no politics. It's just, oh man. And I'm sorry, I know I've been going off on a tangent about that, but just, oh man, just, some days I just really want escapism, and that's what these movies are. Okay, let's get into the story. I've ranted long enough. The story, now, one thing is, you could definitely tell this movie, okay, this movie was what happens with a lot of franchises. Okay, now we've seen it happen with Halloween. Like we've seen it you know, um, we've seen it with the Saw franchise. We've seen it with Friday the 13th. We've seen it with a number of franchises. Okay, like what ends up happening is you have a franchise that's going along, at a certain clip, and it's kind of telling, a certain kind of story, and then they figure, well, you hit that point, like, well, they feel like they're just, photocopying the first movie over and over again, so they decide let's do something different. So they do something different. In the case of like Halloween, they did it with Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. With Friday the 13th, they did it with Friday the 13th, The New Beginning. Some people, go back to Halloween. Some people even say they did it with Halloween Ends. You know, um, Saw, they did it with Spiral from the Book of Saw, things like this. It's like, they feel like when you're doing a franchise and it's going along, and it seems like they're afraid people might be losing interest in it. So they end up doing a movie that kind of tells a different story in a different location, different characters, and that's what happened with Paranormal Activity, because the first four is kind of following the storyline. You have the Hunter character from the child Hunter. You have Katie. You have the Coven and all this kind of stuff, and then they did the marked ones, which the marked ones, you know, instead of feeling more like a straight up sequel to Paranormal Activity, it feels more like a spin-off film. And so you could tell. And if people didn't like that movie, that's probably why, because it just wasn't it's like the only thing really that's kind of tying that movie to the other franchise, or the rest of the movies in the franchise, is just, the Coven is, a part of the story. And that's pretty much about it for the most part. Then so you could tell, like with this movie, they were like, okay, yeah, we messed up, let's get back, let's go back to form, kind of get back with the formula and stuff like that, and just continue on. And you could tell that's what they did with this movie. So in this movie, you have you know it begins basically where Paranormal Activity 3 ends. You see, Katie and Christy being taken by their grandmother, and they're going to be trained, in this coven. So now time passes. I believe it was supposed to be in Paranormal Activity 3 that Katie and Christy, their family, their house burns down. And I think they've shown it like I think they've shown it in like the trailers and stuff like that, but you never really see it in the actual movie. But yeah, their house is supposed to have burned down. And then, now a new house has been built on the property on top of the old house. And now we have a new family that lives in this house. You have the father, Ryan, the mother, Emily. They have their daughter, Leela. You also have two other characters. You have Uncle Mike with his porn stash. I'm not kidding. Wait, watch the movie. You see you look at Uncle Mike. The dude looks like he looks like he's trying to, go for like, looks like he's trying to play like a Harry Reams or John Holmes. Trying to be like an audition for a biopic on one of those guys. He's got the porn stash and everything. Sorry. And then you have the other character, Skylar. And please forgive me if I get this wrong, but I think if I understood correctly, I think in the movie it's supposed to be that Skylar is supposed to be the niece of Emily, I believe. And if that's the case, that's interesting because these two women look like they're very much about the same age. But like I said, I could be totally wrong about that. Well, so anyway, Uncle Mike, he comes over to, his brother Ryan's house, and he's going to spend Christmas with Ryan and his family and everything. Well, they're out decorating, getting, stuff, Christmas lights and everything, displays set up and everything else. And, they're looking at a box, and it turns out it's one of the boxes that was left over from Katie and Christy's family. And inside the box, it turns out they got one of those old, big, like handheld, JVC, VHS, tape recorders. And they find a box of tapes. And so, they look at it, and Ryan, it turns out he's kind of like a technical kind of guy, kind of an AV kind of a guy and stuff. And so he's able to get the camera working, and then, he starts, using it to like videotape stuff and everything else. And at the same time, he's looking at all these videotapes, and it's showing, like Christy and Katie growing up and everything else. And but there's some other interesting things too. You see, the two of them being, basically being schooled in this coven and things like this. And and of course, once this happens, then scary stuff starts to ensue and everything else. And then we come to find out that the character of Toby from Paranormal Activity 3, Toby is back. And it turns out now Toby wants to possess Leela, their daughter. And so now, they have to try to save Leela before Toby can, fully possess her. And the thing is at one point you can see here, hopefully you can kind of see it there, you know, um, Toby is able to get Leela to draw these symbols, the witchcraft coven symbols, and it ends up opening a doorway in her bedroom. You can see she's standing on her bed, and this leads into the ghost dimension. And so, she goes in and everything else, and kind of running out, kind of, not running out, but I kind of want to stop right there because, I don't really want to give much away. But one thing I will say about this movie is, okay, couple of things I want to say about this movie. Honestly, it's fun, and it's just it's definitely a kind of just shut your brain off, have a good time with it. But two things you're definitely gonna notice about this movie is number one, because of the 3D gimmick and stuff like that, you're you're definitely gonna notice that like everything starts to pick up pretty quickly in this movie. Now, when you watch the other Paranormal Activity movies, you realize they're very slow burns. Everything builds up really, really slowly. Everything starts off like, it's very subtle. Something very small happens. Like you'll see maybe like a door just kind of slightly move, or you might see like a hallway light just kind of turn on and then turn off. You might hear the sound of, like a water faucet turn on then shut off. Things like that. This movie here, it's pretty much gets going. Like as soon as they get the camera and they start looking at things, like it starts, and it's not very subtle. As a matter of fact, it gets, so you could tell this movie because obviously because it's in 3D, because they're trying to sell the 3D gimmick. This movie feels much more. It's got a bit of a different tone from the other films. It's like it's kind of the same but different. It's different in the sense like this is trying to be something more of kind of like a spectacle film. You know, it's trying to really sell. It's like it's not subtle. You keep seeing the dark figures. You keep seeing things like jumping out and the camera and everything else because obviously, they're going for they want to pick this up because they want to sell the 3D gimmick. So that's one thing you're going to notice. Another thing you're going to notice too is this movie definitely serves up the member berries. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's like watching this movie is like okay, like watching that like her drawing the thing and and all that. Then the doorway on her wall opens up to another dimension. It's like I'm sitting there watching. It's like man, I remember that Twilight Zone episode, Little Girl Lost. Where the little girl in her bedroom, she's got this doorway. It turns out it goes to another dimension and I think in that episode, the father had to go in to get her out and stuff like that before the dimension closed up entirely. And also, too, it's like, okay, you have this kind of ghost dimension opening up in this girl's bedroom. So the little girl goes in, and the mother has to go in to try to get her out. Boy, that sure reminds you of a movie, a little movie I don't think anybody really saw called Poltergeist. But I remember it. Um, Also, too, the funny thing is like when this movie, when they get the camera, it turns out that's really the only way you can see the ghosts is you have to use the camera to, be able to see the ghosts. And, for me, that definitely, like I said, member berries. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, you know, that sure does remind me a lot of 13 Ghosts. Yeah, the remake, but of course, the William Castle original because in that movie, the original William Castle 13 Ghosts, that was another like 3D movie. They were using a 3D gimmick and everything else. And so, you had to put the glasses on to be able to see the ghosts in the movie, and everything else. So it's the same thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, so this movie's definitely going to serve up the member berries and you're definitely going to realize like, um, yeah, it is different tonally because like I said, this is kind of going for more of kind of like This is a little bit more kind of over the top, more of a spectacle kind of film. There's a lot more just like, stuff like constantly going at the camera and everything else because 3D. But, this was back when, I don't remember the exact year, but this was back when they were really like trying to make 3D a fad again. Excuse me. But, so anyway, yeah, I would definitely say if you're a fan of this, and also too, if you like, good 3D fun, and everything, but just don't go in expecting, a really don't go expecting, like really, like, Mensa type stuff, just go in and just try to have a good ghost story fun with it. And like I said, I mean, it's not going to win any awards or anything like that, but you know what? Honestly, I have fun with it and it's just a good time. And like I said, in this day and age of, all these movies being, like nowadays, movies, TV shows, like they're trying so hard to cram politics down everybody's throat. I'm fine with just, a grade B ghost movie once in a while. So anyway, so that's it. So if anybody took the time to watch all this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you haven't already, go and subscribe to the BodyBags channel. There's a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. We have a different reviewer. I'm the Saturday reviewer. We have a great bunch of guys. Everybody's doing great stuff. I'm sorry if I seem like I'm kind of out of it. I just got off work and I'm tired. So, but that's it. We got more fun theme weeks and everything else coming up. I got there's stuff I'm looking forward to. I'm sure the other guys are as well. So that's it. So everybody take care. Have a good night. I'll see you later.